If your Shopify store is still rocking those generic, overly smiley stock photos that could belong to literally any brand, you're leaking trust and sales. And studies show that high quality on-brand product photos can boost conversions by 30% or more, and that products with clear quality images convert dramatically better than those with blurry or generic visuals. So today, we're going to break down exactly how I would at least generate, we're gonna do 3 images here within the homepage. And we're gonna create a certain aesthetic for this brand called Coyote Chrome. It's a fake fictional brand. We're borrowing from a couple of different options in here in order to create something that aesthetically looks good together. So let's fix that very specific problem, right? Boring, inconsistent images on your Shopify homepage. And we're gonna do it by using Nano Pro to create a full set of indoor images, all inside the same like 1970s Western cabin set. There's not gonna be no outdoor shots, no random backgrounds, just one iconic world your brand owns. And just to kind of show you what we're going after, right? Like symbolically here, right? If we look at something like Abercrombie and Fitch, right? And we go to their homepage, right now, I mean, all these brands are gonna be running like Cyber Monday, Black Friday type deals. So their banners are not necessarily gonna have the same aesthetic. But for Abercrombie and Fitch, you'll see outerwear starting at $90, and they have these model shots in here. And again, they have this certain look, right, to them. You get down here to gifting, you have denim sweatshirts, NFL picks, and they all have kind of like the same backgrounds, kind of like that same red rug, that kind of like that couch that we saw up here too. So there's certain elements, right, that follow the models in the background. This is probably maybe the most different looking from those, but you'll see that they have a certain aesthetic, right, for some of those shots, and it makes it seem like they did, and they probably did. I mean, they're a pretty big brand, so they probably did a specific photo shoot with a couple models in this very specific set. And that's kind of like what I want to get you to, right? When you think about dropping new products, or it could be even your exact same products, right, but just shown differently, shown in a maybe more Christmassy type moody, look, that is going to inform the customer, right? That you are, sort of like up to date. You're actually updating things here on your site, and you have a certain aesthetic that you're following. You're not just using the same generic, maybe place it, type of models. You're actually going through a more artistic approach with something like this. And just to kind of show you another example with something like Tacovas, you kind of see that there's a certain aesthetic, there's a certain, I would say, filter, right, with these. And obviously this one actually is the most similar to what I'm gonna try to replicate, right? This is more of like a Christmas scene, but it's a very much like 1970s, type of aesthetic, maybe more of a cabin. You see the wood paneling in the back end, a lot of wood elements in here, maybe some modern chairs, but you can see kind of like that old school TV there in the back end and the record player. There's a certain aesthetic. It's warm, it's moody lighting, and they're still being able to showcase their products. But at a glance, you go to this homepage and the attention to detail, right, that was placed into this, it's next level. So, and again, we probably won't get to this level right now within the confines of this video, but you can, like with Nano Pro, you can get to something like this. I would say not very easily, but with a little bit of work and a little bit of good prompting, you can get to something. The key concept that I want you to steal from this is that instead of chasing 100 random cool images, right, you're actually building one signature set and shoot everything within there, right? And with Nano Pro, that means that you kind of keep describing the same 70s Western cabin, for the example, over and over again in your prompts. So your whole store looks like one intentional campaign, not just a collage of kind of like whatever you had laying around or whatever images you're maybe prompting or trying to take pictures of what models you're getting from Placeit or some of these other options. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to define our set, right, in actual words. And here is the cabin description, right, that we'll reuse as kind of like the backbone of our Nano Pro prompt. And we're gonna go with like an inside cozy 1970s Western cabin, a living room, dark wood paneled walls, stone fireplace, cowhide rug, and like a mustard corduroy sofa, heavy plaid curtains, vintage table lamp, warm tungsten glow, framed rodeo posters, old wooden coffee table with faint scratches, a subtle haze in the air, maybe cigarette smoke from the 70s, rich brown tones, soft shadows, modern Western wear, modern streetwear mood, shot like a cinematic 35mm with a gentle grain. That was a lot, but that's really what we sort of encaptured for this shoot. And when you think about what you want to do, obviously you can prompt I would recommend going with Google Gemini and ChatGPT and kind of go back and forth until you get something that you feel good about in terms of the aesthetics, right? It's a lot easier for us because we already we're kind of replicating a little bit of Takova's, right? So it's a little bit easier, but you can prompt ChatGPT, you can prompt Gemini to kind of get that mood and that setting that you truly want to look like. And then that base is what we're going to use on every single one of these prompts. And we just kind of have to remember some of those elements, right? Like the sofa, like the wood paneling, and make sure that we use those from one prompt to. Now, before we jump into generating the hero banner, I just want to say my name is Christian Pignon, one of the co-founders here at Bit Branding. We specialize in helping clothing brands scale online. We've served over 300 clothing brands in last year alone. I would appreciate if you like, subscribe, so you don't miss any of our videos. Okay, so here we have loaded up Gemini. Now with Gemini, we want to make sure that we enable the create image and that we have our thinking with 3 Pro model enabled. That way we're actually going to be using Nano Banana Pro. If you don't have these settings in place, then you won't be able to use the greatest and latest with Nano Banana Pro. So we're gonna paste our prompt in here. And again, we're taking inspiration from that initial set that we created that kind of shows all the elements that we want. So we have all those in here with some additional details. We have a 22-year-old model essentially wearing this Midnight Rodeo t-shirt. And this is just for educational purposes, but we did find a Midnight Rodeo t-shirt from this company called Midnight Rodeo. So I just borrowed their image so we can make this. Again, educational purposes. So let's upload our file and this t-shirt here. And then I also want to specify, because I have been having problems with this. Actually, I'm gonna put it out and then we're going to ask it to change it after the fact. So you can kind of see some of the options that you can do with this. With Nano Banana Pro, my suggestion right now is you may have to start a brand new conversation every single time. The more that you keep everything within the same conversation, the more it starts to sort of hallucinate and create things that are basically not part of the actual prompt. So it may be better to start with new prompts every time you create some of these. So let's go ahead and click submit. All right, so that's kind of what I thought. Like, in this prompt, we actually had the idea, right, to leave space above and to the sides for Shopify hero text. So that's kind of all we said, but by default, it just kind of created this like iPhone picture, you know, portrait style image of this. So what we're going to do, we're going to just ask it to fix that aspect ratio issue and see how it does. So let's say fix aspect ratio to, let's do 16:9, which is kind of like your typical hero banner. And let's see what it does. But technically what you can do is just have that aspect ratio of this image should be 16:9 in the initial prompt, and that will give you that lifestyle sort of hero banner sizing that you need. And there we go. Let me click on that image so we can kind of see it a little bit bigger. Awesome. By default, all these Nano Banana Google Gemini images will add the Gemini logo here at the corner. You can put that into Photoshop and remove it pretty easily. I would recommend that just so it doesn't show up on every single one of your images. But yeah, we can now actually download this. All right, we're just gonna drop it here in our desktop, and then we're gonna go to just this dummy test store that we have here, and we're going to add that file. So let's do this. And technically that first one that we had there would work really well for our mobile. So this theme that we're using, Palo Alto, gives us the option to do a mobile image. So I may actually do that. Let me see how this looks. Yeah, because as you can see with mobile, model kind of starts getting cut up a little bit. So it may be good to have that mobile image in here done differently. Now with this banner image, what we really want to do is we want to use the actual block elements for this. So all we're doing here is we're going to change where these get placed. Let me see, do I do it? Yeah, so we can go right, content width, let's go 100%. Awesome. And then this won't be as long. So now we're starting to kind of get the idea, right, of more of a stylized version of this. So again, we're just highlighting new arrivals, the Midnight Rodeo black t-shirt with a girl model. I just noticed that it's a girl model, but it's all good because we didn't specify either male or female. So that's great. But now you kind of get the idea of like the visual that we're going after. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to create 2 additional images here to maybe do some categories, right? Let's do maybe like a denim and maybe some cowboy hats. I don't know. But while keeping kind of like the same aesthetics that we have here on this hero. All right, let's see this prompt here. And just as an example, let's try to, I'm gonna do it right within the same thread that we already have going. And to be honest, like you may be able to get it done, you know, the exact same way, which is keeping it within this thread. But like I said, once you get into like 4 or 5, different prompts within this thread, things will start to kind of break down a little bit. But for now, I'm just gonna do it within this thread just to kind of show you, and we'll see, right, if anything pops up in here. Okay, so actually this did it pretty well. As you can see, one to the other, we have kind of like that same lamp. Now we're kind of moving to a sort of like a different bedroom, right, or a different room within this cabin. And what we have here is our denim actually shot in here. As you can see, now it's kind of following that same 16:9 aspect ratio that we had above, so it's kind of trying to follow that direction. But I guarantee you, if we were to do that prompt in a new thing, it will kind of give us that initial aspect ratio that we had. So I'm actually going to copy this and put it into a brand new one. We're gonna do create image, we're gonna do the thinking model, and then we're gonna send it. And then for this, we're just using a very generic sort of denim collection, but obviously you can actually upload your own images. Just like we did with the t-shirt, you can upload 3 or 4 different denims and have them actually be laid on this particular bed. As you can see, when we do a new prompt, it actually kind of strips away some of the elements that we had for this one. This one actually looks a little bit more in tune with this. So I think for this exercise that we're doing here, it may be better to kind of stick around with this. To be honest, like the secret sauce here really is that we're going to ChatGPT and we already created the set, right? And then within the set, within ChatGPT, stay within the same conversation and keep asking it to give you just different scenarios and different sort of scenes still set within the same universe that you created here. And that's really what's gonna give you that same verbiage, the same aesthetics from one image to the other. Obviously, when it comes to Gemini, we'll have to kind of manipulate it here a little bit so that we can kind of stay within the same realm of the scene. And as you can see with this so far, it seems like doing it within the same thread may be better. But I'm going to show you another little trick to see if we can also get some of the exact same scenery within it. So as you can see, this one still has the same elements, but maybe slightly different in terms of maybe the lighting, maybe it's a little bit harsher. So let's create a new chat. Let's do that exact same prompt, create image. We're doing the thinking model. And then let's actually upload that first image, right? That hero banner that we have. And then let's just give it a very subtle prompt here towards the end. Use reference for the visuals. Okay, so use the reference image for the visuals, colors, and mood lighting. All right, let's see how this does. Okay, awesome. This again is still a little bit of a combination of it. So there may be a little bit of prompt editing that we may have to do, but let me download this. And actually, I don't want this version of it. I do want more of a portrait style. So let's wait till this downloads and then let's reprompt it to get that correct aspect ratio in here. So fix aspect ratio to, let's do the opposite. So 9:16 should give us that portrait style photo that we would need. And something else, going back to this right here, you don't have to use the blocks within the actual banner image. My recommendation would be to, even with the prompt, and you could try to do the text. Nano Banana Pro is pretty good at getting text on the actual image, but in order for you to have full control, and maybe I'm more of a designer, so I want more fuller control of my text and the buttons, you can always just drop that then into Photoshop, drop it into Canva, and then put in the graphics that you want in terms of the text. Maybe you have specific fonts that you want to use. That's gonna be a little bit harder to replicate, right, with Google Gemini, but you could still try it. I've seen some use cases where they're able to do some of these things, but it's just a little bit harder to kind of prompt it. But just know that, yeah, you can create the actual graphic after the fact. What we're really looking for here is the aesthetic, is the actual look and feel of this. So, okay, that looks interesting. So let's download this. So it did actually really good job with this. Now, I do think the smoky, the cigarette smoke might have been a little bit too much, and something that, again, ChatGPT took the liberty, right, to add these elements, and we have the option to kind of get rid of some of those. So what I'm gonna do is actually, I'm going to ask it to remove the smoke. I love it. So I just asked, yeah, remove the smoke, and there it goes. All that hazy smokiness it's out of the way. So let's download this one, and let's put it in our sort of featured or shop by category collection here. So let's enable our inspector, and I'm going to select this image and select here, add file. Was this, I can't remember, this is the smoke one or smokeless? It looks like it has smoke in it. It does, but it gets kind of cut off, so I think that's good. But as you can see, like, this main one didn't have the smoke. So that's why I do think that that new one without the smoke would be better. Let me see. All right, let's go back over here, change, select from library. Nice. All right, so now we have that sort of, it's not gonna be trending, it's gonna be more like the denim collection. And then let me go back to my ChatGPT here, and we have our cowboy hats. I didn't read this whole prompt, so let's see what it comes up with. Again, I'm gonna put it right within the same thread and see what we can come up with. And again, I'm doing these because I don't have the product pictures, right, for all these, but again, you can upload your own product imagery and it does a really good job of grabbing all the details for that particular product into here. And we could definitely see that, you know, with this initial prompt that we did for the hero section. Yes. All right. Yeah, that looks awesome. This is great. I love that. Yeah, I mean, it's the exact same sort of corduroy mustard couch, and that kind of, you know, brings it from, you know, one to the other. So let's do a couple things. Let's try to do 2 prompts in here and see how it handles it. So let's do remove smoke and change aspect ratio to 9:16. And I will say sometimes when you do multiple things, it tends to do either one or the other. Fingers crossed that it will actually, you know, follow through and do everything correctly. But just know that sometimes you have to kind of like go one by one, prompting it to change items individually. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So we have our cowboy hats just sitting there. It removed the smoke and it changed the aspect. So for this example, again, it did it really well. Let's go ahead and download that and put it into our store. So let's click on that other section, add our file. Nice. All right, so there you have it. We have again, we're not gonna go too deep into this, but we have a very simple sort of like 1-2 punch here. We have a nice wide hero image that showcases a model wearing one of our items. And then we scroll down and we have like 2 category sections where we're showing denim, we're showing cowboy hats, and we're able to create something that sort of cinematically, right? It's like, I'm a big fan of MCU, cinematically stays within the same set, and it gives us some of those same elements, you know, within the couch, within the wood paneling from one picture to the other. So it creates this view that we kind of have this photo shoot, right, set into this particular location. And even more than this, right, we have the ability to add more models to the scene, to keep pushing it forward, to potentially, like, maybe you have this new collection, right? Maybe it's set as a 1970s Western, and just for these images, that first image that you create for each of them could be based off of sort of this set and this style that you've created. Again, when it comes to that initial prompt on ChatGPT, like, don't think too much about it, but give it the details that you want, right? Say some of the elements that you actually want to see, kind of like that, you know, the corduroy mustard couch or the plaid curtains or the wood paneling, right? You kind of have to have a vision already into like what is it that you want it to look like, and then you prompt ChatGPT to get you this universe created for you. And then once you have it, stay within that same thread and keep prompting it for any new ideas that you have. Again, you're not feeding any images to ChatGPT, you're just painting a picture of the world and then using Gemini to actually, Nano Banana Pro, to actually generate these images. This visually is going to be way more impactful, and you're going to be playing now with some of the big boys, right, on how they do some of their photography. But you have to create this vision for your brand, you have to create this vision for your collections in order to actually stand out from everyone else who are really not paying full attention to all the capabilities within Nano Banana Pro and what you can do for your clothing. All right, make sure that you like this video, subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. And don't forget, comment below with your brand's aesthetic in 1 sentence. I wanna know, because if you do that, then you might be featured in our next Nano Banana Pro video. Maybe they'll do Nano Banana Pro 2 or something like that. I don't know. But we're gonna keep building videos on Nano Banana. And if you give us your brand aesthetics, we will feature you on our next video. So make sure you do that. And if you're interested in more Nano Banana videos, check this video here next.